Kia ora and welcome to Constellations and All That. I'm your host, Tracy Cartwright, and together we will be exploring the world of family constellations with facilitators and clients from around the world, looking at different perspectives and experiences in the work, having a cup of tea and just chatting with some friends around their experiences in constellations. We'd love for you to join us. I hope that you enjoy this series as much as I have loved making it. Hey everyone, welcome to Constellations and All That. Today I have the pleasure of talking with my sister-in-law, Pauline Cartwright. So I've asked Pauline to come on because even though it's constellations and all that, the all that part of it is whatever pops up into the field. And Pauline isn't a facilitator, but you've been to many constellations and you've been with me on my journey from the beginning and held space for me and kitty many times for me to come up there and in the early days when I was starting out. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do and the gifts that you bring into the world.
Thank you. Yeah. My given name is Pauline Cartwright. Be now my ex-married name. But I go by the name of Freya now. I work in energy healing circles. I'm a Reiki master, Access Bars practitioner, and I mainly work with healing energies with people, but mainly at the moment I'm working with energy healing with trees. And trees have been a lifelong passion of mine. Ever since I was 8 years old, I've been growing plants and propagating and working with trees and plants in the horticultural world. And I formerly trained as a horticulturist and worked in this field. And then recently I rediscovered my roots, so to speak, with the trees. And then I learned that I could actually communicate with the trees. And they heal us just as much as we heal them. Their energy is very close to our energy. Their DNA is very close to our DNA. And we have so much to learn from them. So I'm part of a big learning process at the moment. And communication with the trees and working with their energy and helping to heal this world with the tree energy.
It's funny, as you were talking about that, I'm reminded, do you remember that time in Kitty we went down to the stone store and we were talking and then all of a sudden you needed a constellation?
Yeah.
And it was quite a busy day down there, eh? Like there was a lot of people around and in the middle of the, what do you call that place?
It's a park beside the stone store.
Yeah, there's a great big tree. Do you remember what sort of tree?
Yeah, a camphor.
A camphor tree. It's a huge tree.
Massive.
And there were people all around us and we decided that we would start this constellation. And as we started it, it was almost like a bubble or a sphere had come around us.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody, like seriously, there were lots of people around and they were walking past us. And then once we started the constellation, nobody came near us.
Yeah.
It was like this invisible force field had come, right?
And it was a huge tree.
It was a huge tree. We were having this amazing experience with the leaves and the tree and they were representing people in different things.
And the roots around the
tree.
Yeah.
And then the ducks, do you remember?
Yes.
The ducks came in and they came in at the perfect time.
To chat.
To be representative.
Yeah.
My light's flickering. I'm in Mum's room, what was Mum's room.
Yeah.
And it was like right at the end of the constellation. Like we had, I think we must have been going for about an hour, maybe more.
Easy.
Just time.
We were just in a time warp.
Yeah, absolutely. Time went, didn't it? And then as soon as the constellation was over, people started coming back in. And people walked beside the tree. People talked to us.
Yeah, they came up to us, didn't they?
Prior to that, it was amazing.
It was incredible. And all these families, and it was beautiful, and more ducks. And
it was almost like you could hear again. You could hear the outside world as well.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't...
Yeah. We were really in zone.
Yeah.
We were in the spirit zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. And those early days were so special and such a privilege to be standing beside you and supporting you and being a representative and getting my healing done too. Just so many layers were shed
Yeah.
in those early years.
Us perpetual onions, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. Remember, we just used to be talking like this, and then suddenly out would come the pepper shaker and the salt shaker and a cup and
a coaster.
And a coaster, and they'd all be representatives, and they'd all be lined up along the family line. And next minute, another layer was shed. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been amazing to walk beside you, because I wouldn't be here today in the essence that I am now if it wasn't for all the work I've done in Family Constellations with you. It was like a fast track for healing.
I remember how willing you were to step into the field and do it. So for someone who is just new to constellations, but maybe isn't a facilitator, how would you describe it if you were telling someone else who'd never heard about constellations from your own?
Yeah, and I've done that quite often, because I've promoted you personally with people and talked about it. And in fact, I did that yesterday with a friend and talked about her family line being out of place. And I often use my own examples. I had 7 pregnancies, so I have 3 earthside babies, children, adults now. I have 4 spirit babies, and I never acknowledged them. So through Tracy, I now acknowledged my children, all 7 children. They all have names, and they all stand in the right place in the family line. And I explained it all to my children, where they stand in the family line. And that's how I explain it to other people. And it's almost like the light bulb goes off in their mind. And I said that to my friend yesterday, because her children were trying to replace her ex-husband. And I said, well, they're out of alignment in their family line, and they're not in the place that they should be in their family line, and your family line as it is today in this world we're in right now. And she went, oh, you're right.
Makes complete sense, right?
Makes sense.
So when you explained to the kids that they had other siblings, what did you notice? Did you notice anything, any shifting in them? Or?
My oldest, my son, he was like, oh, I'm not the oldest anymore. And he thought about it for a while, and he was like, okay, that makes sense. Because in himself, I think he felt a little bit misplaced in himself. And it kind of jolted him into the right place, if you know what I mean. It aligned him into the right place. But I mean, he also had a tendency to step into my ex-husband's position in the family, my immediate family, which is me and the 3 children, earthside. And I have to remind him where he stands, because he slips back in to that role. And I have to remind him, Charlie, you're my second child. You're not my husband.
Yeah. And,
it's just a natural thing. We all do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We do that. I'm going to be reminded of where we belong in our family system.
Yeah.
I have to remind myself often that I'm the youngest. I used to say I was the baby. And then one day it dawned on me, I suppose would be the thing, that when I'm saying that I'm the baby, I'm still putting myself into that young child energy. And at the time, I was sort of coming through a lot of inner child healing through my wounds and that. And so now I'm the youngest.
And dare I say that this little man here, my son's dog, has represented as well. And many a circle with Tracy.
Many a circle. And so is my little 4-legged that's just down there. Just mindful of your microphone, love.
Yep.
We're just testing out these lapel mics, so the volume, the sound might be a little bit different. We'll see how it goes.
It is quite interesting. Like my daughter, my oldest daughter, my second earthside child, I had an ectopic pregnancy before I conceived her, and it was life-threatening. And I named him James. My oldest is Charlie. And I named him James. And my daughter, Olivia, just suddenly clicked with him. She resonated with him. She felt a spirit, and he stands beside her all the time.
I never forget that day.
Yeah. And she feels his essence so much, and she feels supported by him, which is really good.
There's a deep,
Really,
there was quite a big strengthening in her after that constellation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah.
And you've been through a big, in the last 5 years, there's been a lot that's changed in your world.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, last 7 years actually, since 2018. 2018, I lost my father-in-law, our father-in-law, my father, and my husband left us and moved countries. So yeah, it's been a big journey for the last 7 years.
And it's been part of you finding yourself, rediscovering your gifts and the magic within, right?
Remembering, because we had all these gifts eons before. We had this magic eons before, and we're remembering them now. They're coming to the light.
And I'm excited for you. You're off on an amazing adventure. I know tomorrow you're off to Tanimahuta or the
No,
next
not
day?
to Monday. Yeah.
And then you're heading over to Europe.
Yeah.
To do some amazing, amazing things.
Yeah, I'm going to work with the energy of the trees in Sherwood Forest. I'm hoping to go to the Big Belly Oak.
Wow.
Near Glastonbury. I'm going to be working with the waters and the stones, of course, the Stonehenge, and then the stones up in the Isle of Lewis, the Callanish stones. So I'm going to work with them, and I'm working with the ley lines between. I've been told the Callanish stones are in direct line with the Kaimanawa Wall near Taupo, New Zealand.
Wow.
The Kaimanawa Wall also lines up with Giza, which is really quite interesting in Egypt.
Where's the Kaimanawa Wall?
It's just out of Taupo on the Taupo Napier Road.
Oh.
Yeah, in the Kaimanawa Forest. Yeah.
And tell me a bit about the wall. What is it?
So yeah, it's looks like a wall.
Yeah.
And I thought it was huge, but it's actually small. But it is actually pyramidal mound, I would say. And there's 3 of them there. And they've all been geotech surveyed, and ultrasound has been done on them in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And I've talked with, I know personally, the people that have done it from Taupo, New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So that wall is in galactic proportions in importance. It is part of the
Why is it a
brickwork.
wall if it's a pyramid? But I'm just trying to get my head around this.
So all you see is a wall. When you drive up next to it, all you see is like a wall pattern, and it looks like a brickwork pattern.
Right, yeah.
And the cutting of it is so precise, like the pyramid stones.
Yeah.
Is so precise, like you would swear a laser had cut it. They're sharp edged, and it's all been packed in like a brickwork pattern.
Wow.
And some of the people, that
must have had laser eyes.
Yeah, laser eyes. Some of the people have said, "Oh yes, but that's a natural occurrence." But to get a natural occurrence like that is a bit.
Well, we won't know, will we, at this point? But
no, but it
feels very magical.
Fascinating. It's really fascinating. And
how old do they believe them to be?
It's way back in the pre-ice age. They're very old. Yeah, they've done huge surveys on it and carbon dating and all sorts of drilled into it. You can see the drill holes. You can put your finger in them. It's fascinating.
And so they line up with Giza and
I believe, this is my belief, I haven't proved it scientifically, of course. I believe it lines up with the Isle of Lewis and the Callanish stones, which are the oldest stones in the UK. And they've been carbon dated, which is incredible. And they are a stone circle as well, but they didn't have the top plinths around it,
Yeah.
like Stonehenge had.
And that was
Stonehenge.
okay, I haven't heard of those stones before. So that's stones where they would do ceremony and
Yes, yes.
yeah.
Very ancient ceremonies. Druids worked out of there.
Yeah.
And I've been called
It's amazing how many
by the
ceremonial
Druids.
special places that we have around the world.
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Incredible places that you wouldn't even think. There's just a mound and a hill, and then some farmer discovers there's a doorway,
Mm.
and then suddenly they find out there's a whole huge room underneath there. As some of those have been discovered recently in the UK, where some of the Druids have worked out of.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just incredible. They're
Fascinating.
still discovering.
History is coming back to life, right? And
Oh, it is.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The other day they discovered pollen in Victoria, Australia, and they did the RNA on the pollen and found out it came from a very ancient cedar tree that lived in Antarctica. Because originally the base of Australia was joined to Antarctica.
Okay.
And they also, through that pollen, found the RNA of dinosaurs they'd never even discovered,
Wow.
but dinosaurs that lived in the cold climates. So it's just incredible what the scientists are finding now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, science is catching up to what what's out there in the world.
Yeah. But you know, I don't believe that I would be fully present in my own body if it wasn't for the family constellations, because they alone have made me feel like who I am and where I sit in my life and my family line.
Well, there's from where I sit, there's been a big shift in your, because you used to be quite anxious
Yeah.
and you don't have that running the bus, running the field anymore,
Yeah.
driving the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have moments.
Yeah. Oh, we all do that.
And then,
but it was, it was higher on the scale, right?
oh yeah, out of
Yeah.
body almost.
Yeah.
Almost out of my own spiritual body. And that was out of fight or flight and freeze through trauma,
Yeah.
family dynamics with my marriage. But as we uncovered the layers and dealt with those layers, and they got shared through family constellations, that enabled me to then settle back into my body, into my essence of who I really am. Yeah. And now I'm just quite easygoing. Bit of a gypsy.
Very much a gypsy, aren't you, at the moment?
Yeah. I don't have a home.
No, I've no fixed abode.
I've no fixed abode. I have a home in my heart, and that's the main thing. I'm at home in myself. Yeah.
And you're heading to, you're going to Portugal and to
France and Portugal, and traveling all just the main countries in Europe, and spending 2 weeks in Italy, which I'm excited about because I've got a smidgen of Italian
So
in
if
me.
there's anyone that's listening to this, you never know, you might just meet Pauline somewhere in Europe.
Yeah, just look for that gypsy lady hugging a tree.
Yeah, and you shared with me that you're going to the places where Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, I've been really called to Mary Magdalene's one of her final retreat spots, which in her later years of life, that she retreated almost hermit-like to a cave. Don't ask me how it's said, because my French is no good, not good. I'll learn it.
Probably better than mine because I know very little.
But I've been called to this cave because there is codes there for me to download. And I know I need to go and sit in those caves for quite a few days.
Wow.
So I need a place to live nearby.
So here I am visualizing you with your sleeping bag in here.
I don't think you're allowed to. It's a historic place.
So you're actually going to go.
I'll try.
Gandhi on us.
Could. But that's going to unfold probably in the next year or so. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's another calling, definitely. And yeah, I think they're all linked together with the trees, the energy. Definitely think so. Yeah.
Well, the trees are always talking to each other, aren't they?
Oh gosh, yeah. They communicate through their mycelium, through the mycorrhiza's of their mycelium for their little mushrooms and their roots.
So down into the earth, but I'm also seeing like the energy in the wind.
Oh yeah, I was talking about that the other day.
When
I'm
the
glad
wind
you said
touches
that.
the tree and it moves through and it's touching another
They
tree.
whisper to each other.
So
Yeah, they whisper codes and song lines. Trees, I believe, have songs. Yeah.
And so when you look at that in the way of constellating and in the morphic field as well, it's a similar thing. It's the field at work, right? So it's the energetic imprints and the messages, the knowings that are there, all the information is there.
Absolutely.
In the constellation field or in the morphogenic field, it's in the wind.
It is in the wind, and trees also have auras. I see the auras as well. So the energy field, and you can actually feel before you walk up to a forest, stop. And I always ask permission to go into a forest. I stop and I feel the field, and sometimes it's incredibly strong. They're vibrating, and they're all molecules, just like we're molecules making up a human form. They're all molecules the same, buzzing around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So they have incredible energy, and we're just learning to tap into that energy now. And scientists are getting on board with that and learning that too, which is really cool. But the things that we know innately through our energy, scientists are now learning it, improving it, which is incredible. They're mapping their energy moving from tree to tree. So trees can send healing just as we can send healing through family constellations, through the energy, through the lines of energy.
And as you talk about that, I think about our ancestors that used to write or put, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just my ancestors who are a little bit witchy somewhere along the line, because I can see this very clearly, putting their worries into the tree, like just talking it to a leaf or whatever, and giving it to the trees to take care of. Yeah.
They did. The druids worked on that, the shamans worked on that worldwide. The Aboriginal Australian, the traditional people did. They worked with the trees all the time, especially in dream time.
Well, yeah, it's very strong in Māoridom too, isn't it?
As well, yeah.
Absolutely.
Tane Mahuta.
Yep, through the tikanga of Māoridom.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing like going into the bush, is there? We call it the bush here in New Zealand, rather than the forest. What else do they call it? Forest.
We call it a reserve sometimes too, reserve of land, because it's like a preserved piece of land, like your preserved piece of land behind us. The Cartwright bush, as we call it.
Yeah, we have it's a bush, not as in a little bush or berry bush or anything like that. It's a whole, like the forest is a bush. Just a bit what we call it in New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah, when we say we're going bush, that means we're going into the forest for a walk or a trek or hike or go camping.
And how it clears you, like we've got just under 3 acres here in the backyard, and you can walk in there and feel stressed out. Like I could walk in there and maybe even just walking through it as a constellation in itself. Everything that I meet, I process things. I walk around the outer rims, but within the confounds, because it's all fenced. And by the time I come out, I feel like I've just done a whole process. Yeah. And I feel amazing. Yeah.
It's clearing.
The bush is constellating me.
The trees do constellate.
And all the resources that come up in there. From everything from the mud that I find myself in quite a bit occasionally.
Knee deep.
Because at different parts of the bush there's quite a bit of mud, and suddenly you've got, oh, there's this obstacle. Okay.
I'm in a swamp.
I'm either going to walk through this. Is this part of it, or am I going to find another way around? to the surprise spider webs that you walk through,
Yeah.
or the we did have some neighbours at one point who used to throw their rubbish over one side, and so there's an area where it's not a safe zone to walk in, particularly because I like to go barefoot. So yeah, I highly encourage people to constellate themselves by going for a walk in the bush.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And many trees have different stories. For instance, I was driving along the road with a girlfriend, and we were down country in New Zealand in a place called Pew Pew, which is spelled P-I-O-P-I-O. And I said to my friend, we've got to stop here. And it was just a little park, and it had a toilet. She said, do you want to go to the toilet? And I said, no, I want to go to that tree. And the tree was calling me, and I went up to the tree and I just started crying, just burst out crying. And she said, what's wrong? I said, somebody hung themselves. Well, no, somebody was hung here.
Wow.
Back in the day when if you did something wrong in New Zealand, it was a bit like martial law. They got hung. This person got hung for doing something naughty. And he was hung there, and he was stuck there energetically, spiritually. So I grieved for him, and then I released him and set him free. And then I looked up at the tree, and there was this one branch. I got shivers while I'm talking about this. And this branch had been cut off because it had been calloused around it. So it had been cut off. And that was the branch he was hung on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's quite a few trees that I've been called to.
There's a lot of stories, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to do a energy clearing on a place recently, and the pūrere tree, and the pūrere is a beautiful, strong tree, and its branches grow out really strong like that. And Maori would place their dead on the branches of the pūrere for their bones to be eaten, the flesh to be eaten or dissolve, and then their bones would be collected. And on this section of land, which has now been divided up into individual plots, there were 3 trees. And the person had invited me to come out and asked me to come out and do some land clearing because things were happening on the property. And I was really called to a certain area of their land, and I was like asking her what was over there, and there was a urapa, which is a cemetery, Māori cemetery. And I said, yeah, I need to go over there. And I started going over there, and all I could hear was, where's the third one? And so there would been 3 pūrere trees, sacred, like they were like 3 sisters on this land, and one of them had been cut down. And that constellation of that land, there was something missing from that. So,
and the energy field of that tree cut down was still there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It needed to
Never
be
goes away.
acknowledged. And so I invited, what the trees asked me to do was to take one of the seeds, or even a cutting, something from the strongest tree, and to fertilize it and to allow a new one to begin, and for her to plant that onto her property. So that felt really powerful, really potent, and
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it was like a different way to constellate, but
It's opening up to the tree constellation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the tree is part of, when you look at the family constellation, you often have a tree picture in family constellations, don't you? The tree of life, the family tree.
The family tree. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's been part of many mythology, ancient cultures, the tree of life. Yeah. It's very strong, very dominant.
Yeah, I think our ancestors knew a lot more than we give them credit for.
I think so. Definitely. We're only just starting to remember.
I know. Yeah, that's a good word, of remember. Because of all the oppression, the colonization, the overtaking, all of the things that have led to us as societies to forget our powers, and to forget the gifts that come so naturally to us. And we live a lot more in our minds than we do in our bodies. So coming back to your heart, coming back to the gut, remembering the gut, tuning into nature.
Yeah.
I'm just reminded, I'm looking at these words over here that says, you are who your ancestors sang about in their ceremonies. You are their sacred gift to the world. It's such a good reminder.
I love that. Yeah, the songlines, the ancient songlines. Yeah, we're just remembering them too.
Bringing it forward into the now.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
It is.
I'm so excited for the future of this world. Yeah.
In a different way to the way we know it,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And a conscious.
Yeah, not everybody's going to be as excited about it.
No.
Because it's going to mean the deconstruction of a lot of mindsets and things that we think are good but aren't necessarily useful for the future going forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of traditional approaches to life that constitutions have ingrained in us. They're not always right. They're not always good for us. And a lot of that's actually been uncovered and brought to the light.
And yet, at the same time, everything is absolutely as it needs to be, right?
Yep, it's all unfolding.
Who would we be if we didn't know these things now?
Exactly.
From the experiences that we have. Again, coming back to constellations, the traumas, the pains that we experience, and how, because we can't fix them as such. We can't go back and erase that from ever happening.
No.
But when we can acknowledge those things, acknowledge that they exist or they existed, we can then let go of the burdens. We can give back what doesn't belong to us.
Yes.
Because quite often, and we shared this morning, we were just talking about this,
Yeah.
when we carry stuff that doesn't belong to us.
Yeah.
And there's that thing around, I'm gonna forgive my uncle for having molested me. Well, when we do that, when we put ourselves in the role of I'm going to forgive, there's a part of us that actually is trying to be bigger, because I'm going to be the big one and I'm going to forgive. Whereas if we come to it from the angle of I'm going to leave this with my uncle, this is the guilt, the grief, the shame, and the pain that I've carried for what he did to me, and I'm going to leave this with my uncle because it belongs to him. Yeah. Then there's a difference in that vibration and that frequency.
Changes it.
Because it's acknowledging what is. We can't change that. We don't need for them to be able to say, oh, all is well, blah, blah, blah. That's often just our humanness needing that. We have to find our strength and taking back what is ours and leaving with them what belongs to them.
Yeah. And I find myself saying that to multitudes of people because I learned it all from Tracy. And I just say to them, well, take back what's yours, but leave it with them. Like I was saying to my friend yesterday, it belongs with them. Yeah. It's not yours. Yeah.
Gosh, imagine if we all taught our kids that.
Oh, well, I'm teaching mine that.
Yeah. And our grandchildren, yay.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we can now. I'm a grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're pure little vessels born into this world.
It's interesting too. I think when I share with my kids, sometimes I don't think that they're listening or they're not quite getting it. And then occasionally a little pearl of wisdom comes out, or I hear them saying something to someone else, or they've said to me, oh, I remember when you told me this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So some of that wisdom is infusing into them.
It is actually, it's quite a thrill when you hear it coming out of your babe's mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they actually listen sometimes, even though they don't appear to be. Yeah, no, it's really lovely. Yeah.
So if someone wants to get hold of you, what you're heading overseas soon, so
early July, I'm heading over to the UK for 2 months and then on to Europe for another month and a half. They can get hold of me through my Facebook site, which is Freya Pauline Cartwright. It's probably the easiest way because then I can link up from there. Yeah.
Maybe they have some information to share, or
yeah.
There's a connection. There's a calling there, and maybe there's some wisdom that you have to share with them as well.
Absolutely. A friend contacted me today and said she lives in Nottingham, which is next to Sherwood Forest.
Oh yeah, where Robin Hood was, right?
Yeah. Well, no, he's a fictional character, but yeah.
We've got Robin in the Hood somewhere. Where is he?
Yeah, we've got Robin here.
Got a Robin the cat.
But the highwaymen did go through Sherwood Forest. It was the main road north. And she wants to come and connect with us at Sherwood Forest.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've been called to go to Sherwood Forest.
So all the doors are opening, eh?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Cool.
And the people are coming.
Yeah. But you're here in Aotearoa up until then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just on a bit of a pilgrimage. I'm calling it a pre-pilgrimage, connecting with Tane Mahuta in Waipoua Forest in Northland.
So for those who don't know who Tane Mahuta is.
Okay, he is the tallest and I would say the widest. His girth is huge. I think it's 11 meters or something like that from memory.
Don't ask me. It's just really big.
Kauri tree. So kauri is our native kauri in New Zealand. There are different kauris throughout the Pacific, but our kauri is called Agathis australis, which is a New Zealand kauri. And it is our iconic tree, our most iconic tree for New Zealand. Like you see the kiwi being the bird, and then the kauri tree, which is, has a tall trunk and a clean trunk and a big canopy up the top.
And we're not allowed to cut down kauri trees.
No,
anymore.
they're sacred.
They're very sacred.
Yeah.
The settlers did a lot of culling of the kauri, and because
Yes.
it has the most beautiful.
My family.
Yeah, most of us have.
Most of
somewhere
us.
in the line.
At milling families.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of our ancestors were coming in there, but it has the most beautiful honey coloured wood.
Yeah.
But there's an energy to it that is, even though it has been cut down, it still has the most potent, powerful energy to it.
Yeah, it does. And the smell of the wood's amazing. The smell of the wood just takes me in a different place. And the gum on the tree as well is incredible. It's the most honey coloured, clear gum. And the smell when you rub that gum.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sensuous. It's delicious.
Sensuous.
Trees are sensuous.
So I look forward to hearing what, maybe you're going to share that on your page. I don't know what Tane Mahuta has to say to you.
Yeah, I will be. Yeah, I'll be on my page because I'll be doing a video there. I've been called to heal him and heal myself. So there'll be a duality of our healing. We'll be giving energy to each other.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to sneak in my singing bowls and wands and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so watch the space. I'll be coming in from Tane Mahuta. And then I'm called also to go down to Castle Hill near Christchurch in the South Island of New Zealand. And Castle Hill has significant rocks on the ley lines that have been linked up to the pyramids of Egypt as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a big calling going on. Yeah. But mainly for me it's that linking of the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere and connecting our ley lines, our grid work to the northern hemisphere, because as you said before, Tracy, that a lot of us were immigrated here. A lot of us were disposed of here as we were cleared out of.
That's an interesting word.
Yeah.
Disposed of.
Yeah, because they sent us out here. A lot of them didn't survive on the ships. They were cleared out of.
Yeah, I just find that word really interesting.
It came to me. I don't know why, but it came to me. It was like disposal.
Disposed of.
Well, they got rid of us because they couldn't feed us anymore.
Yeah, so I would think that was
displaced.
Yeah.
Displaced. But a lot of them didn't survive.
It's funny that
They
it's given
died
me
of
such a
neglect.
reaction. Disposed of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they cleared us, like my family, my nana's family, the whole village was all collected up and shipped out.
Okay.
On a ship from Inverness, and they were shipped out to Newcastle, Australia.
Oh, that's where they were disposed of.
Yeah, Australia, of course.
Right.
Australia,
Okay.
you get it right.
It doesn't feel quite right for
No. Australia was a big disposal place because that's where the convicts went
Yeah.
and all the land
I
clearances.
was going to say that before,
Yeah.
and I was like,
No, they all went to Australia
that
first.
feels more like an energy because they sent the convicts there.
Yeah.
And Aotearoa was,
We were still new.
well, it was new, but
Yeah.
it was also more of a new beginnings land, wasn't it? Whereas Australia maybe had more of that
Disposal. Yeah.
energy that they're still working through big
Yes.
time there.
Yes, they are.
I'm sure. And there was a lot of convicts that
That's
actually
the reason I said that.
yeah, once they were freed or pardoned of their
Yeah.
sins for stealing their loaf of bread to feed their family or whatever happened, then a lot of them did make their way to New Zealand for the free land, right?
They did.
Is that how your family got here?
Yeah, they were cleared out through the grand clearances, they call them, mainly from Scotland, and a lot of them came from Ireland to Scotland through the potato famine, which my nana's family did, and some of my mother's family line also got displaced. Disposed of in Newcastle, Australia, and Newcastle, Australia was a big port in those days.
Yeah.
More so than Sydney Harbour. And that's where a lot of them ended up. And in fact, in Newcastle, there's a suburb called Cowan where my family, that was their name, Cowan.
Oh, wow.
And there's piggotts in Newcastle, they're pharmacists.
Yeah.
And some of them stayed, but some of them went on to New Zealand because they heard about Aotearoa. They heard about New Zealand being, all this land that they could clear and farm, that the soil was fertile and the climate was temperate.
And there was no snakes.
And there was no snakes.
No big spiders
and
things
alligators.
that wanted to eat you. Well, there were some things that wanted to eat you, but they were.
Alligators.
That was a different story.
But yeah, also it was hot. I remember my nana saying, because her parents were born in Scotland, and she said they found it too hot in Newcastle, Australia, coming from
they did.
The Highland Scots.
Apparently because I know my mum's mum arrived here when she was 11, and they came on the boat and they had all their winter clothes on. And they arrived in the New Zealand summer. Yeah. And she was roasting. Yeah. They hadn't climatized and their blood was boiling. We used to say that when we were kids, oh, my blood's boiling, because I still struggle with the heat. Even now, after 5 generations in New Zealand, I'm still struggle with the heat. It's interesting. Hey, there's a constellation in that.
There probably is, yeah. That used to make me laugh about Tracy. She'd always say, oh, there's a constellation in that.
Yeah, I don't say it as often as I used to.
It was our family joke.
It was, yeah. There's a constellation.
Because I'd say to my son, oh, there's constellation in that. We better talk to Tracy.
Let's get constellated.
Yeah, let's get constellated. I like that. But yeah,
not to be mixed up with
no
the other. That sounds similar.
Yeah. No, there's so much that you can unpack, even through that being disposed of in another country. There's so
funny
much.
How words can have so much energy, right?
Yeah.
Well, everything's energy and vibration and frequency, isn't it? But that word just was like,
disposed.
Interesting.
Well, they got rid of. They got rid of us because we were the trash. We were the people they couldn't feed. They got rid of us. They shipped us out on the ship, shoved everybody in the ship, as many as they could get in the ship. Didn't care if they lived or died. It was the nobles. It wasn't their problem anymore.
And interesting, because you're going back there.
Yeah, that's.
So how does that feel? Because I can feel that rising up in you.
Oh, big.
Is it okay if we do talk
about
this?
Yeah, no, it's huge. Yeah. It's huge. Because this is part of my calling is to reconnect my family lineage back to the UK, the full circle. Yeah. And my son felt, consciously, my son felt it when he first landed in the UK. And I've been told I'm going to really feel it as soon as I put my feet on the ground. It's going to be huge. I know it is. I'll probably be ringing up Tracy going, hey, can we do a constellation, please? There'll be something in it.
The pain of the ancestors that were disposed of.
Yeah. Yeah.
is in some way hugely traumatic and obviously very traumatizing for them. But on the other side of it, it's a huge gift, because if that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have had the distinct honor of being born in Aotearoa
Yeah.
and having lived the life that you've lived.
Exactly.
Being who you are right now. So
Yeah.
in Constellations, we acknowledge what is, and when we can take that in,
Yeah.
we can find peace.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I'm grateful for them being disposed here
Yeah.
in Australia and then coming here.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that
And maybe one or two of them are still sitting a little bit rattled, but
yeah,
finding that
new
honoring,
life.
acknowledging, and
Yeah. And they had the drive to survive as well. The determination to survive all of that.
I imagine that the journeys out on the boats were not kind.
No. There'd be a lot of sickness and probably not a lot of food, because there wasn't a lot of food. That's why they were sent away. They were all starving anyway. And a lot of those were the Irish that were disposed to Scotland, or some of them chose to go there for work, but a lot of them were cleared out of Ireland into Scotland and then moved on again. And my family were those people. It's interesting.
Well, I look forward to it. We'll have to have you back so you can share with us.
Yes, I'd love that.
Your adventures and what happened, and
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, yeah. Hey, mon ami.
I'd love that.
This is oh, you can't see Moni. He was sitting up here before. I've got my vision of mon ami here. Can you see this? For those who can see the recording, I always have teddy bears to work with my clients. So this is Povey, who's on my shoulder, and this is G-Man. So he's got the G on his foot, who looks very much like mon ami, who's cuddled up here to Pauline.
This looks like Lacey.
Just a little bit, eh? Who's snoring over there in the corner, by the way. Lacey's my fur baby, one of them.
Ginger and white.
Actually, Lacey's strawberry blonde.
Oh, strawberry blonde. Yeah, right. Ginger undertones.
Yeah. We'll roll with strawberry blonde though, eh, Lace? Well, it's been great to chat with you here. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
At this moment, to laugh and to share and to test out my new microphone. So that's really cool as well.
Yeah.
We'll see how much we've interfered with our arms waving around, and
I think I did before.
a little bit of tapping of our chests. And, Is there anything that you'd like to share before we leave here?
Yeah. If you feel called today or tomorrow or next week or whenever, go and acknowledge a tree that calls you. Find a tree that makes your heart sing. Go to that tree. Spend some time with it. You can hug it. You can lean on it. But yeah, just spend some time with that tree and connect with that tree. You never know what it might say to you. Be open. Yeah.
What gifts it might have to share.
Exactly. Yeah. Trees need us.
Oh, we need them.
And we need them.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Ka kite, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Head over to Instagram and tell me what's resonated for you with this episode. You'll find me at tracy.cartwright. That's Tracy with no E. .cartwright. Or head over to my website, tracycartwright.co.nz, and receive a free audio with the gift from your ancestors. So until next time, be kind to yourself and have fun doing it.